The phone rang. Emma sat up in bed, her heart racing as she listened to the shrill sound of the ringtone. She rubbed her eyes, trying to shake off the remnants of sleep. It was 2:17 a.m., and no one called at this hour. She hesitated for a moment before picking up the phone. The line crackled with static, but there was someone on the other end. "Hello?" Emma said wearily. There was only silence. She waited for what felt like an eternity, her anxiety growing by the second. Suddenly, a low voice spoke out of the darkness. It sent shivers down Emma's spine as it whispered her name, Emma. The voice seemed to come from all around her, echoing off the walls and ceiling. Emma tried to speak, but her words caught in her throat. She felt paralyzed with fear, unable to move or respond. The line went dead, leaving only an unsettling silence. But then, a faint whisper echoed back, "I'm still here." The voice was soft now, almost gentle, yet it sent chills down Emma's spine. As she lay there in the darkness, frozen with terror, she realized that some things were better left unspoken, and unheard. And as she drifted off into an uneasy sleep, she couldn't shake the feeling that something had just been awakened within her. The phone rang. It was an old-fashioned rotary dial, and the sound of its mechanical clicks echoed through the empty hallway as it vibrated in Emma's hand. She hesitated for a moment before answering. "Hello," she said softly into the receiver. There was no response on the other end. The silence stretched out like a cold, dark shroud that wrapped itself around her heart. But then, a voice spoke up, its tone low and raspy, as if it had been sitting in Emma's throat for years waiting to be set free. "Emma," it said again, this time with an unmistakable hint of recognition. "Is anyone there?" It was 2:17 on a dark and stormy night. The house creaked and groaned as the wind howled outside. Emma sat in her room, staring blankly at the wall as she tried to shake off the feeling of unease that had been building up all day. Her phone suddenly rang, shrill and loud in the quiet darkness. She hesitated for a moment before picking it up, wondering who could be calling so late at night. As she listened to the voice on the other end, her heart began to sink lower with each passing second. It was her mother's voice, but there was something different about it, a tone that sent shivers down Emma's spine. "Emma," her mother said softly, "I'm coming home early tonight." The words seemed innocent enough, but as she listened closer, the speaker began to distort and change, like someone was manipulating the sound waves. Suddenly, Emma heard whispers in the background, faint but unmistakable, a soft, raspy voice that sent chills down her spine. As the call continued, the room around Emma grew darker and colder, until it seemed as if she was trapped in a living nightmare from which there was no escape. The phone call ended abruptly, leaving only silence on the other end of the line. But for Emma, the terror had just begun, because when she looked out her window, she saw that her mother's car was parked outside, its headlights shining like cold eyes into the darkness. And then, everything went black.